Hello and welcome to the Tesla Life Express. I'm Mark.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Patrick.
Today we're going to take a look at Tesla getting some federal dollars for supercharging. So let's get right to it. Roll that credit, Casey.
You're watching the Tesla Life Express!
Yeah, so with that, we are talking a little bit about Tesla and supercharging, getting some federal dollars. This article in Politico, which you'll see linked below if you'd like to go into the details, looks at it from the outside, looks at it from someone that is not connected with Tesla at all, that really has no connection to the Tesla fandom or anything. It's just looking at the cold hard numbers that the federal and state governments have put out for funding of superchargers in those states. So what's happening with this federal agreement is they're actually allocating funds to each state to allow the states to follow a guideline to put in chargers in their own state. So there are some specifics, such as for example, the chargers should be no closer than 50 miles apart. And there are other charger things such as the cord needs to be CCS or at this point NACS. There needs to be at least one CCS and it can be at least one NACS. So it's up to the states again to dictate what's going to happen. But they do have some federal rules that they have to follow. So this is something that Tesla has not done in the past. They have talked to other states about doing something like California, but they, in some cases, have even told states, no, we're not interested in doing it the way you want to do it. So and that's something that Casey brought up before the show started was what happened with California and Tesla, Casey.
So California was telling them they needed to have signs on the stations, like we see them with the V4 dispensers in Europe. We see them on the V4 dispensers here in the States too, but they're powered down. And there were a couple other requirements, and Tesla said, nah, we don't need you. And then they still put the chargers in the exact same sites. They just didn't meet any of the Californian demands. And now all of a sudden they've got dispensers that look like they qualify for everything California was asking for. So it's like, what was the problem then that you're going to do it now?
Well, I see Tesla's point on this. So if you have charging infrastructure, it has to be reliable. People are dependent on that to get from A to B. And if you get there and it's all broken down, the way that we've seen some of the other non-Tesla providers poorly maintain their stuff, or it's just they have credit card readers, they have screens, they have buttons, and that's just more things to break or be vandalized. So Tesla kept the superchargers as simple as they could, and all the other stuff happens in the car where, some random person's not going to come vandalize your screen in your car. You're going to take care of your own stuff. So I think they had the right mentality, and now they're expanding that some. Like you said, Casey, the new V4s do have a small screen, and I like where they have it. It's behind the handle so that it's not real obvious that it's even there if you're not familiar with Tesla superchargers. And then Mark, you mentioned how they have to have CCS ports as well. Well, with the Magic Dock, they've got a system where you can pull it out with a CCS connector or pull it out with NACS. And originally you had to do that through the app, but now they've even gotten smarter, and you can just press the button for 2 seconds and pull it out with the CCS connector. So now you don't even have to have an app to do it, because anytime you have apps or RFIDs or QR codes to scan, there's just another hassle and another thing that can go wrong. I was at a green lot station and I was trying to scan the QR code, and the sun was hitting the plastic that was covering it, and it was you don't want any of that. You want to just plug in and go and have it just work, and that's what Tesla has been able to provide at a level of reliability and ease of use that no one else has been able to compete with, which is why it makes sense that they're the one winning most of these awards, because you're actually going to get what you want out of it. Why would you pick anybody else?
At the time, right after they told California to GFY, Singapore said we need a centralized record. And so they put an iPad on a stand and they put a lock on it and they set it out there like they did it. And so that was compliance for Singapore. But I think what we're seeing here, what would probably push them over the edge, is that now they've got all of these clients that don't necessarily have a Tesla vehicle, and so they don't. If you're not using your car maker's app, then they'll need a way for you to be able to pay with a credit card to see how much you're being charged, that sort of thing. And so I think at that point it was natural to put that in with the new redesign they needed for Cybertruck and maybe Tesla Semi.
Yeah, it with this new NEVI program, which stands for National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program, Tesla to this point has won $17 million in bids for a total of 41 stations at this point. Of those, they are to be distributed in 7 states: Alaska, Colorado, Maine, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, Texas, and Tennessee. There's still another 8 states that haven't indicated who their winners are yet. And beyond that, the remaining states haven't even indicated what the actual bid process completely will be. So it's not there quite yet. But we saw this in a story we did a couple of weeks ago about Alaska, about them making that road between Juneau and Fairbanks. So I'm sorry, not Juneau. It was Anchorage and Fairbanks. So this is part of that story. The funds are coming from this NEVI program, and we'll see other states start to introduce what their electric road is going to look like through their state, mostly on, of course, interstate highways that the federal government has helped fund as well. So that's where the majority of this money is going to be spent on stations.
With the design considerations, there's one more that I didn't talk about. The white label program. We heard about the 2 organizations that are getting the supercharger, basically where they're going to rebrand it and put their own installs and their own maintenance. And that's something that was also a consideration, because if you gave people the regular V3 supercharger, that would have been harder to make it work as a generic at a gas station or something like that.
Yeah, and of course with Ford, GM, and all the other manufacturers that have indicated that they are now moving to allow their customers to use these Tesla chargers, these 15 or 12,000 chargers. Tesla is becoming mainstream somewhat when it comes to charging. They're becoming the dominating factor out there when they're allowing all these other vehicles to connect to their charger stations and charge. And as Patrick mentioned, hopefully a lot of them, they'll be able just to plug in, similar to what a Tesla does as well. Although it's kind of a walled garden if you have to do some extra stuff in your app and you have to fool around with it, where the Tesla guy who pulls up beside you just pulls out the cord and plugs it in, he's done. But it certainly will help the other EVs on the road. So we will certainly watch. It's supposed to be by the end of February that Ford, the first manufacturer, is going to start using some of these Tesla chargers. They've already unveiled what their adapter is for the people that already have a Ford with CSS or CCS. But we should hear some announcements on that, I would imagine, any day. Here we are at the end of February. So we're waiting to hear as to when Jim Farley said, go ahead, Ford owners, start using those Tesla chargers. Get your adapter and let loose onto the countryside. We will see.
Yeah, we saw a post by Farley on his X where he showed him and the adapter and a Mach-E. And, well, that's looking pretty exciting.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, with that, I think we'll wrap up this little short news segment. Please, if you haven't already, press that subscribe button, press the like button, and we will catch you again shortly on another Tesla Express.
See you next time.
Stay positive, test negative.
For a future free from fossil fuels.
That's right, baby.
Got it in.